Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. We got another set of green reveals. This time we've got it for set 12, Vicious Rejuvenation, that comes out next month. Really excited for these cards, and honestly this set looks insane. Just so many unique leaders, and I really appreciate how they did the big giant, designer notes talking about all the new themes that are coming from this set, and it should be really, really exciting. So we're going to talk about quickly. We're going to do a quick primer on just the leaders and kind of the archetypes that are present in green, and then we're going to do break it up by rarity. We're going to do quickly the cards that have already been revealed. We're just going to do some quick thoughts on those, and then the latter half of each of those segments are going to be some new cards I'm dropping just for you guys. So let's buckle up and go into the leader cards. For our two green leaders for the set, first we've got our second slug leader in the history of this game. This is really an interesting archetype, and I've been messing with it a little bit, and I definitely need to play with it more, but it's hand control, but in the weirdest way, right? It's not hand destruction, it's more of you have to try to figure out how many cards in your opponent's hand, and you get skills from there, but you can also like discard cards from their opponent's hand. Like it's really unique, and it's going to be interesting to see how it really works out, because you can give your opponent free cards, right? So that's normally bad. But like being able to a lot of your effects depend on having X amount of cards in your opponent's hand, and what you do is you temporarily give them those cards, and then they have to discard them at the end of the turn, right? So like being able to like give your opponent 7 cards, but having to discard 3, your opponent sure can out combo you on their turn, but then they have to discard their cards at the end of the turn anyways, so it's still hand destruction. It's really weird. I think like it's going to be hard to play as and against, and I think that's a really cool idea for an archetype. So this leader, real quick, when this card attacks you and your opponent draw 1, which is already kind of weird, but also if you have 3 more green energy, when you activate a Rejuvenate skill, draw 2 cards and flip this card over. So this is definitely going to be like a heavy Rejuvenate leader, which is fine. Or it has like an emergency awaken as well. When your life is at 4 or less, you and your opponent draw 1, then switch up to 2 of your energy and activate and flip this card over. So like either is viable, I think, in a lot of ways. Like it just depends on what you want. I think you can play this without Rejuvenation too, but if you are doing that kind of turbo awaken, it's really good. Especially on the backside, we have a 20k leader, which is absurd. And then, but if your opponent has 7 or fewer cards in their hand, this card gets minus 5k power during battles on your opponent's turn. So like your opponent sure can like discard a bunch of cards from their hand and make it less than a 5k, but that also means that they have to like over combo, that kind of stuff anyway. So it already is kind of doing work for you. And when this card attacks, you and your opponent draw 1 card, and then activate once per turn. If your opponent has 10 or more cards in their hand, play up to 1 mono green slug army with any cost 2 or less from your drop area. That's a really good thing. Like just being able to play something for free is fantastic, and you can get your opponent to 10 cards in hand easy. Like your opponent can do that already. So I think that's a really cool thing. And like you will see like a bunch of the 1 and 2 drops like just play themselves too. Like it's really cool, and it's a really cool leader. It's also slug army, so like there's some cards that are dependent on that, but I think this is really cool. And also we've got our turtles. So on that guy we've got he's really weird. We've got like a lot of cool life manipulation decks. I think like every color has at least one. So this Turtles also is the first Turtles leader in the game, or we've got like a Turtles like card that got banned also because it's really good. So but we got this one. So permanent, if Turtles Crusher Corp in your battle area would be placed in its owner's drop area by one of your skills, it is sent to its owner's warp instead, which to me just means you can't use Successor on these guys, which is fine. I think that's okay. But also has this auto, which is great because like otherwise it'd be really tricky to balance that, because you got to spam the board with a bunch of like 2 and 3 drops, which would be perfect for a Successor. But auto, when you place this card in your leader area, place up to 1 Tree of Might from your deck in your opponent's battle area. So this is also like a really weird card. It goes into your opponent's area as well. But real quick, when this is in your battle area, this card can't be placed in drop area by skills, and you reduce the combo costs of all Turtles Crusher Corp in your opponent's hand and battle area by 1. So that means since this card is in your opponent's area, you get the benefit of it, which is kind of cool. And also like really thematic for the game as well. And then if all your opponent's energy is mono green, so if all of your energy is mono green, if this card is in your battle area at the start of your main phase, choose 1 card in your life, flip it up, and then if you do, your opponent adds 1 fruit of the Tree of Life from their deck to their hand, then shuffle the deck if they look through it. So you just get like bonus +1s and like card knowledge with it. And then also activate if your leader card's Turtle Crusher Corp, place the card in your opponent's battle area in active mode. So you can like play more than 1 Tree of Might in your opponent's side of the board if you want to. Which could be, I don't know if you would, but you totally can, because these aren't field cards, so you can play as many as you want. But there you go. That's all it says. So anyways, we get to play that. So it's like a leader card part 2. But also auto, when this card attacks, up to one card from your left to your hand. Look at the top 5 cards from your top of your deck, up to one Turtles Crusher Corp among them to your hand, then shuffle. So being able to find your pieces is nice. And then 4 less are your opponent has 3 or more life face up. You may draw 1 card, switch up to one of your energy active and then flip this card over. So it's kind of easy to do that. Get an early awaken with this guy, as long as you're not playing against Red Balma and like they flip their energy or their life face down at the end of the turn. But like, especially like, think about Frieza, like Yellow Frieza. This could be like a really cool matchup, and you can awaken early as well. On the backside, it has the same permanent. If a Turtles Crusher Corp, you can't successor still. But also has this permanent that when this card deals damage, you choose the card your opponent loses from their life. So if you know like they have like a card that they really want, like if they have like a super combo or one that outs in their life, you can make sure that they don't draw that card, and then you're feeling kind of good about it. And then it has just an auto draw 1. And then activating once per turn, you can choose 1 card in your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. Add 1 fruit of the Tree of Might from your drop area to your hand. This is a really nice skill. So the Tree of Might only finds the fruit from your hand. But if you can kind of do this thing where you cycle your fruit. So if you have 1 in your drop area and 1 in your hand, you just put the 1 from your drop area to your hand by putting the 1 in your hand to the bottom of your deck, and at the start of your opponent's next turn, you just add it back to your hand. So you get like this gets like a bunch of free +1s, which is really, really nice. And like if you need like Dorm Potential to like discard cards, you get like a free discard fodder for it, and then you can add it back to your hand next turn. Like it's just like some really nice +1s that help you with the card advantage game. So that's these 2 leaders. That's kind of how they function. And let's look at the common cards for this set. All right, starting with the commons, real quick, we've got 2 new Dark Dragon balls for this. We've got a 4-star ball that is supposed to do the Xeno for Turtles. This is your opponent has 2 more energy, and you choose one of your mono green Turtles with energy cost of 3 or 4. Place a card under it, and then you play Turtles Xeno with an energy cost of 4 from your deck or hand in active mode as well. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of like it's really similar to like the Frieza one, which is nice, where it goes back in active and anything. So we'll look out for this one, and then also we've got this one, the 6-star ball. So this card gains Dark Dragon Ball in all areas, same thing, but if your opponent has 3 or more energy and you choose one of your mono green Lord Slug with energy cost of 3 or 4, and place this card underneath it, choose up to 1 Lord Slug Xeno card with energy cost of 4 in your deck or hand, play it on top of the chosen card in active mode. And so I think the Slug is definitely the more versatile one, because we already have like a bunch of ways to cheat out slugs and stuff, but this one should be pretty cool, and it goes into the bigger guys, especially it does have the 3 or more energy, which I think makes sense, because otherwise you can get like Lord Slug at like an energy of 3 like really easy right now, like 1 or 2 energy. So being able to kind of curb it for that, I think is fine. But I think that's fine. And then also, so looking at the Crusher Corp stuff, we've got two guys we had revealed already. I think a lot of people were waiting for more of these guys, because the idea of spamming the board is really nice, but they all have unique, which just means it's hard to get more than one out of, or like just the whole kind of combo you need for it. But they all have this kind of skill that if your leader card is a Turtle Crusher Corp, this card is using a combo from your deck or hand. When this card would be placed in its owner's drop area from a combo area, you may play it in rest mode instead. Just being able to summon the board. They also have this 1k, but this 1 cost. But if you have, it's just a free combo. If you're playing Turtles, because they have the Tree of Life, or if you play it from the top of your deck. We'll see a card later that kind of lets you play it from the deck. So. He also has this activate for 1 green. You can send this card to its owner's warp, then change, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and cost 5 or more, and KO it. And you can't play copies of this card for the turn. Like, this is really good, right? Being able to just 1 energy on something you played for free to kind of get rid of one of your opponent's cards, I think is kind of good. So he's really nice. We also have this Daze, so same thing with this auto. When this card is played, look at the top 3 cards from the top of your deck, add to 1 Turtles Crusher Corp among them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So just being able to combo and then draw cards is nice. So because you play them, and then when this card is played is good. They're also, if you haven't noticed, they're all 3k combo costs, which I don't think is a big deal, because you still get, like, even if you just get this one, like 2 of them for free, you still get a 5k combo on your thing, so it's fine. And then we also have, so here's the new cards for the commons. So we've got Kako, Invader Earth, super combo. So nothing too crazy, but he is a Crusher Corp, so he's searchable with a bunch of your cards. And also, like, he is a 10k combo, like vanilla, which is good for a later card we're going to talk about either. But I think this is just a super combo you need to run for this deck anyways. Really good for that kind of sense. I know you're probably tempted to run things like I don't know, like your regular super combos, like Paragus could also be used, and also like the I think it's a Saiyaman Son Gohan, the green one from the last set, where you're able to put it to the bottom of your deck. I think that could also be potentially really good, except for like the new one that puts it at the bottom of the deck. It's a 0 uniformly, which we'll talk about it later. But I think this is a definitely contender for the super combo for this deck. And then next we've got, so here's some new Crusher Corps that can be played from from the top of your deck when you combo with them, or just from your hand. So you can really see like why they didn't want to have swap with these guys, because you can really swarm the board really easily with them. But yeah, so if your lead card is Turtles Crusher Corps, and this one has blocker, which is nice. And when this card is played, you may play it instead, and it's not in rest mode. I think the other two are in rest mode, if I don't recall. Yeah, play in rest mode. Play in rest mode, but this one doesn't play in rest mode. Oh, spoilers. This one doesn't play in rest mode, which is really nice. And if you lose a Crusher Corp and this card's played, choose to one Lakise with an energy cost 2 from your deck in rest mode, and then shuffle your deck, which is this guy. So they're, the twin kind of thing. So this one just plays in rest mode, but same thing when if your leader card is Crusher Corp and this played, you just get to play the other one for free, not in rest mode, so you got a blocker up, which is really nice, and then draw one card, then choose one card in your hand, discard it. So you can like use it to like cycle your tree parts when you don't need them, and then you can just get them back and stuff. So like, really cool. These two are definitely really strong. Like just being able to swarm the board on top of it is really good. So I think these are both cards that were needed for Archetype to have that kind of explosive power for it. And then we've also just have some quick vanillas. We've got Kakuja and also Zejun. Like both these are just vanillas, but they do have the Slug Army trait, which can be kind of important later up. But those are those, and let's move to the uncommons. Starting off with the revealed uncommons, we've got this Angela, Invader of the Earth. So it's a 3-drop Slug Army with 19k. If your leader is a Slug Army card and all your energy is mono green, when this card is played from your hand, activate the skill. At the end of your turn, if you have 6 or fewer cards in your hand and your opponent has 10 or more cards in their hand, draw 3 cards. So that's like, drawing 3 cards is like insane value, right? And I don't think like this is insane to kind of do. Like having 6 or fewer cards in your hand is fine. And a lot of your triggers, like on your making your opponent discard cards, is at the end of the turn too. So it's as far as I'm aware, you're able to kind of stagger it out where you can say, okay, Angela resolves first, and so because of that, all the cards my opponent draws, has to drop at the end of the turn happens after I count 10 or more. So you can make your draw 3, and then you can make your opponent discard cards from there afterwards. So it like really evens out. So it's really cool. A lot of like a big power swing. I'd have to get a confirmation on that ruling, but that's how I understand it. And even if it's not, like, it's easy for your opponent to have 10 or more cards in general Dragon Ball on turn 3. So just being able to like boost your hand up by 3 is really like a draw 3 effect doesn't exist right now. So it's really cool from that regard. We also have so we've got these. We're gonna quickly skip the middle kind of Xeno are rares, and then the big boys are uncommons. But we've got so you use your ball to get out this Turtles right here, and then you can EX evolve on your 6-drop. It has crit and double strike for EX evolve for 2 green on Turtles Xeno with energy cost of 4. And then when this card evolves into this, when a card evolves in this card, switches card to active mode, then your opponent chooses one card in their hand and sends it to the warp. Flip up to 2 of your opponent's life face up. So being able to do that is great. And then since this is crit double strike, you can, and your opponent, your leader is this Turtles that lets you like choose which card you hit. If you know there's some cards like super combos or cards like your opponent needs in their hand, like if you pop like a secret rare face up, you can just do this double strike crit, and then you can choose which cards go to your opponent's drop area, which is really, really powerful. And then auto once per turn when this card attacks, combo with up to 1 green battle card from your drop area with the skills engaged for the turn. So this is the reason why I think you want to have like a super combo with the 10k boost inherently. Some of the super combos get their 10k boost with their skill. So if you use something like the new green one, that like the servant green super combo, it's only a 0k combo, I believe, and the skill is what gives it 10k. So you can't combo with that super combo and get the 10k boost on this. But if you use the archetype dependent super combo, it becomes a 35k critical double strike, which is good for free, right? For free you get that kind of thing. So really like that effect. And yeah, it's really, really cool. And we'll talk about this one a little bit more, but this is really easy to get out. You just have to get a 3 or 4 drop Turles out, which is not too terrible. And then we also have the Slug one. So being able to, same kind of thing. He's a big triple strike, and he's an EX Evolve for 2 green on a Lord Slug Xeno with any cost of 4, which is this guy. And then when this card is in rest mode, your opponent can attack leader cards or unison cards, which is so he has kind of like this deadly defender effect. And when this card is removed from battle area by opponent's skill, play up to 1 green Lord Slug with any cost of 3 from your drop area, then add up to 1 Dark Dragon Ball from your drop area to your hand. So it's only when it's by a skill, which kind of sucks. If it was skill or KO, it would be insane. But being able to like still have like this big deadly defender, which kind of has barrier but better in a sense, is really nice. And like you kind of pressure your opponent with this guy too. It's really easy to get this guy out too because you can cheat out of Lord Slug with 3 Xeno or use the ball to get into the 4 drop. And like this also has like this effect. We'll talk about this 4 drop more, but I think he's really cool. And it can be really good to like kind of bait your opponent to kind of do things, and then you can get more value from it. And you can just go back into your chain, which is really nice because you just get a 3 drop out, and then you can go, for 1 or for free, you put your ball underneath it again, get the 4 drop, and then go from the 4 drop into the 6 drop. So those are those 2, and now we've got the new Unison here. So Raditz Invader from Afar. A 3 green, specific green energy, which is definitely a contention point because we've got like Dark Broly and stuff. But activating once per turn, you can flip up 1 card from your opponent's life face up, which is this is really just a good unison for Turles. But has an activating. You may choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. If you do, your opponent just chooses 1 card in their hand and discards it. Choose up to 1 of your cards. It gains critical for the turn. So this +1 effect is insane. Being able to do all of that. Especially like in Turtles where you're gonna have free card advantage, right? You're adding extra like fruit to your hand because of your thing, and so just being able to do that is good. Being able to just do an activate once turn, flip 1 of your cards face up, making sure that you can awaken on your turn is really nice. And then also -5, your opponent chooses 3 cards in their hand and discards which is just -5 to do that is really good as well. So I really like this card. Definitely good in like a hand destruction build anyways. So like if you have that kind of thing going on, I think it's a really good leader or unison for it. And it's a big 20k, so you can like give yourself crit. You can give Raditz itself crit, and then you've got like a big 20k crit on a unison going in. And then if you're awakened Turtles, you get to choose which card you crit, and it's good. I think this is a cool card, and if you're playing that kind of like Turtles deck, I think this could be a really good unison for turn 3. And then next up we've got a new Turtles 3 drop as well. We kind of alluded in the Dark Dragon Ball as well. This got unique deflect. Choose 1 card in your hand, place at the bottom of your deck. When this card is played, draw 2 cards, and this gains +5k power until the end of your opponent's next turn, and flip 1 card in your opponent's life face up. So just hard casting this for 3 is good. And active battle for green, if you have 2 or more Turtles Crusher cards in your combo area, you can play this card from your hand. So you can just play this easy. You play this turn 2. Swing with it, and then you get to do the draw 2 +5k, and then assumedly you'll have enough of your guys to kind of go like you just swarm the board with this guy, because then you can Xeno Evolve or Dark Dragon Ball Evolve if as long as your opponent has 2 or more energy, and then you just go from there. So it's like puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, and like this card really just makes it so you can have like a really aggressive based kind of version of this deck. And I really like this card, so it's really cool. It's really easy to have 2 or more pressure cards in your combo area to activate this activating for 1 green. So even like you can even do this on like your opponent's turn too, which is kind of cool. And then we've got Guyoshu, Invader of the Earth, so super combo. This is a really unique super combo. Even it doesn't have unique, but like it has if your leader card's green and you have a green unison card in play, when this card is used in a combo, draw 1 card, and then at the end of the battle, choose up to 1 of your green unison cards Rejuvenate if it's skill text, and place this card underneath it from its owner's drop area. So it's only 5k, you will notice that, but this is a green slug army card, so you can play it from like your leader effect, right? You can recycle this super combo really, really easily, and even though you don't get like the 10k boost, you still get a card draw, and then you can put this underneath your card, so you have like more potential for rejuvenate and that kind of stuff. I think this is really cool. I think this is definitely worth experimenting in the deck, and just for its cycle potential, and like it's slug army, so you can search it. And I think it's really cool, especially like if you don't need like the 10k, like it's 5k, which is fine, and you still get the cycle. and like being able to recur this over a couple times every game, I think is really, really cool. So those are all. Wait. No, we got one more. We got Kill Driver. So this is a active battle, 1 green extra card. If your leader card is a Turtles Crusher Corp, flip up to 1 card in your opponent's life face up, then choose up to one of your leader cards or battle cards, gets plus 10k power for the battle, then choose one. You either get a draw card, or if it's your turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, any cost greater than or greater than their current energy, and KO it. So I think this is like definitely a good side deck card for the deck. Being able to like pop your opponent's cards if they kind of have like these big boys, and their active battle too. I will say like this kind of has some like spillover kind of utility with the fruit of the Tree of Life, but I think if you're playing against a deck that like spams big boys, you can definitely just use this on your turn, pop him, and then like you get like a big 10k. And if you have like a big crit from like your Unison or something, it's really good. And like flipping one card from your opponent's life up is good for like potentially like emergency awakening too. Like it's really easy to awaken with this Turtles leader like turn 1 or 2 just by flipping cards up from your opponent's life. So I think this card is really neat. And then let's move on to the rares. Alright, for the rares, we only have one new green card that hasn't been revealed yet, so we're just going to start with it real quick and then go from there. But we've got Wings Invader of the Earth, so it has permanent bond 2. If this card's in rest mode, mono green slug army cards in your battle area can't be KO'd by your opponent's skills. So that's a really actually good skill as we look forward to it. But like just being able to give your cards that kind of skill is really, really nice. And then yeah, we'll go through it. Like it makes sense for the later cards here too. But let's quickly go. So we've got Fruit of the Tree of Might. Fantastic card, just because you get to cycle it. This is like a free +1 every time, and like the skill is really good too. So active battle, if your leader card is Turtles Crusher Corp, all your energy is mono green, and you flip one face-up card in your opponent's life face down, choose up to one of your leader cards or battle cards, and it gains plus 20k power for the battle. And if the chosen card's character name includes Turtles, it also gains double strike. So if you use your Unison with Raditz to give your leader crit, and then you use this Fruit of the Tree of Might, you've got like a 15 plus 20k. You've got a 35 double strike crit for like 1 energy. Like that's like almost Son Gohan levels of stuff. And it can also be like any of your battle cards too. So like just being able to give like a big 20k double strike for 1 energy is fantastic. You do have to flip an energy, like one of your opponent's life face down, but that's moderately kind of easy. And yeah, I think this card's really good. And you just like it's free cycle stuff. So if you need something to discard with dormant potential, boom, you just discard this, you get it back, it's free. So really like that kind of recursion there. We talked about these guys as well, but here's the middle of the kind of the Xeno line. But if your opponent has 3 or more energy when this card's played, your opponent may choose one of their Unison cards to place in another's drop area. If they didn't, you and your opponent draw 1, then choose all of your opponent's battle cards and KO them. Like it's just insane, right? If their opponent doesn't have a Unison card, they just like boom, like that you wipe their field. It doesn't get around barrier, which is fine, but like just being able to have that kind of potential is good. And then also, and your opponent, like you both draw 1 card, so like that's fine. And then we also have the Turtles. So this is a blocker. When this card activates, blocker or is removed from your battle area by your opponent's skill. Your opponent may choose 1 card in their hand, discard it. If they don't, draw 1 card, then flip 1 card in your opponent's life face up. So it's kind of like you got to decide which card you discard. Like your opponent gets to make the choice, so it's like whatever's better for them, obviously. But like it's just whenever you activate blocker too, which is really easy with this guy. You kind of get him, if you get him out early and you don't want to do like your Xeno Evolve, you can just like block something, make them discard stuff, or you draw cards, you flip cards over, that kind of stuff. So pretty okay. And then we've got this Lord Slug Conqueror Restore. I really like this card. This card's really insane. So if you leader card Slug Army, when this card is played from your hand, you and your opponent draw 1. At the end of the turn, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and place it at the bottom of their deck. And then active main, if your leader card is a Slug Army card and your opponent has 7 more cards in their hand, and 1 or more energy, choose up to 1 mono green Slug Army card with 19k power or less in your hand. And play it, and you can't activate active main skills in this card for the turn. So you just like you use this to like go through a bunch of your cards, and you gain like a bunch of advantage. Like this, your opponent either has to like get rid of this card, which is I will say moderately easy for them to do because it is just a 1-drop, but it's really good. Like you just cycle through your stuff, and like it makes it really easy to kind of cheat energy, which is fine because you're drawing so many. You get a bunch of card advantage with this guy. Like you get as much card advantage as your opponent does. But just being able to do that kind of draw is really, really good. So you can play that Angela for free that we talked about last set, or we can even talk about this Wings Invader of the Earth. So you can just like play the wings, and then you swing into your opponent's leader or their unison, and then you've got a 19k, and they have to KO this wings first before they can KO your Lord Slug, right? So I think that's fine. A kind of weird protection from that, but I think that wings definitely helps out the protection for this slug. And then we also have this Meta Mucha, Invader of the Earth as well. So, activate for 1 green. If your leader card is a slug army and all your energy is mono green, you send this card from your drop area to your warp. Add to 1 card from your life to your hand. Play 1 meta token. Then you and your opponent draw 1 card. At the end of the turn, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand, place at the bottom of the deck. You can't activate the main skill. Uncopy this card for the turn. So just getting like card advantage, and then and you get to draw the 2 cards too, which is nice. And then you get to like even at like the end of the turn, right? If you just have this in your drop area, right, for 1 green, you're able to draw 2, take a life, so you draw 3 cards, and then sure, your opponent gets to cycle 2, but card advantage wise, you're still equal by the end of the turn, right? So you still like draw 3 cards for 1 energy when your opponent doesn't gain. Like they get cycle, but they don't get more cards than you for that kind of sense. So that's really cool. And then it can put your life, your opponent's cards high enough to like play, like let's say turn 2, you have this card in your drop area, and then you can use you play this Lord Slug. Both you and your opponent draw 1, and then you can play stuff for free with your active main, and then your opponent has to discard 3 cards in their hand at the end of the turn. Sure, you put those 3 cards in their hand, but it just works out. So it's really like you gotta try this Lord Slug deck. It's really cool. And then let's go to the super rares. And lastly, we've got the 5 green super rares that are for this set. Some of these have been revealed, but first we're going to look at this Turtles one. This one's great, and obviously kind of kickstarts the deck in general. When this card is played, it's unique, but when this card is played, flip up to 1 card in your opponent's life face up. So just being able to do that turn 1 is really nice. And if your leader's card is Turtles Crusher Corp, and this card attacks at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, combos up to 5 Turtles Crusher Corps among them, and shuffle your deck. So you can just swing and then just like fill your board with a bunch of these unique 1 or 2 drops. So like this like definitely kickstarts the deck and probably like one of your best turn 1 plays. Really, really great card, and I think he's obviously really good and helps out the deck a lot. And he has a Turtles, which is good, and like just being able to like flip cards up so you can awaken early. All that stuff is really good stuff. Then we also have this 4-drop Turtles Cosmic Rogue. So unique deflect crit. If you have 3 or more Turtles Crusher Corps in your battle area, and you have 3 or more energy, reduce the energy cost in your hand by 2. So this is a great like turn 3 play. Just being able to drop this for 2 energy, and then during your turn, all of your Turtles Crusher Corps in your battle area, you get plus 10k power. So like it's kind of like 2 different themes for these builds. Either you can go like really aggressive with rushing the board and then like capitalizing on it, because just having this guy out, you have like a bunch of like not like you can just a bunch of dudes that can swing for high amounts. And then also when this card attacks, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So just good, like just being able to do that generically is great in a lot of ways. So just being able to swing and kill something. And then we have all of that, and it also has unique deflect and crit itself. So if you give it like the Tree of Life, you give it the double strike, you have a 35 double strike crit, which is already good for this guy. And then you can use it for if you're awakened, you can choose which 2 life you crit. Like all the stuff is really, really good. And then going to the slug stuff, so we have this King Piccolo. This is like the Rejuvenation Unison. It's for 2 green. If your lead card's green, you remove 2 markers from this card. You can do like add 1 card to your life, and then activate for 1 green. If your leader card is mono green and your opponent has 7 more cards in their hand, you can play this card from your hand with a marker on it, and you can't play unisons for the turn. So just being able to play this card for free is really great. And then you use a unison marker on it, and then you can do this +1 where you choose 1 card in your hand, place it underneath this card in your opponent, draw 1 card. And then you choose 1 green battle card with original energy cost of 1 in your hand, play it. At the end of turn, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and place it at the bottom of their deck. So like obviously you play this turn 1 with 1 green, and then you use your +1 to put a card underneath it. Then you can play like your 1-drop Lord Slug and just go from there. It's a really good like 1-2, like it's a really easy like combo setup. And that it just sets you in a really good spot where you can use your stuff. So I like this card a lot. It's a really unique unison. Then it's turn 1. It's a 2-drop green unison with 15k, which means you can use like Frieza's the Frieza counterplay turn 1 if your opponent doesn't start swinging at you. And then if they do, like the thing with the Rejuvenation is it takes like 4 markers to do it, but you really have to like your opponent either has to like swing at your leader or your unison, right? If they're swinging at your unison instead of your leader, then you're gaining life anyways. Does that make sense? So like it's really cool, and it makes like a weird 50-50 where your opponent doesn't really, they have to like commit to either hitting your unison or your leader, right? And if they hit one, you still can gain life back with the other, essentially. So I like this card, and I think it's really good. Then we also have this Lord Slug, Thwarter of Plans. So 15k deflect, auto bond 2. If your leader card Slug army, when your opponent uses a card in a combo, you may place that card in his owner's drop area. If you do, you and your opponent draw 1 card and negate the skill for the turn. So like it's just kind of it's weird, like, right? But it can kind of make your opponent, like, you get the free cycle and your opponent gets the free cycle. But if they're using a super combo, you can make it just go down to a 5k. But that's fine. I think it's a weird effect, but I think it's okay. And then, especially if they use like a 10k combo, you can make it go down to a 5k combo. But also, when this card is removed from your battle area by opponent's skill or KO'd, if your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, play up to 1 green Slug army card with a cost of 1 from your drop area. So if your opponent tries to get rid of this guy, you can get your 1-drop back, or any of your 1-drops, and you can just get this card back for free anyways. So I think it's a cool card that can really cycle through it, and it's not too bad for 3 green. And then also our last new card of the video, we've got Lord Slug Monstrous Muscle. So deflect double strike is a big 30k for 5 energy, 4 specific green. When this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, KO them, then choose one of your opponent's unison cards and remove 2 marker from it. And then auto, once per turn, when your opponent activates a counter skill, your opponent chooses 6 cards in their hands and discards the rest. And then you and your opponent draw 1 card. So it just means like your opponent can't use any counterattack stuff. And if you can't already tell, like the thing with this deck is that it's not a hand destruction deck. It's not a hand control deck in like control, but it's definitely like a mid-range deck. So if you just play this for 5, and then your opponent just essentially can't activate autos, like counterattacks, and then unless they just want to lose 6 cards from their hand, right? That's really monstrous, and like it's really crazy that like how much like impact this guy can have. So, and then you just KO your opponent's battle cards. It does not ignore barrier. I think that's fine. I think ignoring barrier obviously would be very strong. I don't know if it'd be too strong, but for 5 energy, you're making a big commitment too. So that's really up to you. But also you can like potentially remove your opponent's unison card as well. Like if they're playing like a green deck and they're expecting to do like Dorm Potential, you can use this just to kind of snipe their unison, which could be cool. And yeah, I don't know, it's a big 30k double strike. What else do you want? If they use counterattack, then they like lose their hand, right? So it's great, and I think it's a really cool like boss monster for this deck. And that's really it. So that's the cards for this set. Obviously, you can tell like these are really archetype dependent cards for a lot of them. I don't think any of them are generically really good. Maybe that Raditz unison is good, but I'm really excited. I definitely, now that we have like the full kind of green Slug and Turtles, I'm definitely going to be making decks for these and doing gameplay for that, so look out for those. And yeah, I'm really excited for this set and these cards in general. I think it's really, really cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Bandai, for giving me this opportunity to reveal these green cards for you guys. And let me know what you guys think. Which one do you like better? You like Turtles or Slug? Which one are you going to build first? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you all next time.